go. We are live. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome. Live to fight another day with SDP on MMA. I'm Shadow Don. This is SkyDon. Together we're SDP on MMA. And got a lot to cover. We're going to jump right into this. Try not to dilly-dally too much. We're going to jump right off, start the night with pre-fight predictions for UFC Fight Night 121. Werdum versus Tybura. This coming Saturday, November 18th in Sydney, Australia. That'll be live on FS1 if you want to watch. We've got timestamps listed below down there in our information. In the info section, if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. Join our family. Help us spread the word. Get this thing going. We also just started a new fantasy pick'em league on UFC.com. Feel free to join us and show us what you got. It's SDP_MMA. And
that's simple.
It's that easy. Jump in there, man. Become part of the team. Become part of our family. And just another avenue for us to actually connect and hear what you got to say. So, yeah, man, we'll just start right off. We had a hell of a night Saturday night, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you did great. You did great from a pick on all your predictions, but man, I had a tough time last week.
Yeah, I turned out 9 for 13. Honestly, I think I should have been like 11 for 13. I feel like I was robbed in the Dodson fight, and Fortuna just didn't show up. I think it was Fortuna. But anyways, yeah. We'll get into all that. It was a pretty decent week after I looked around. Hey, man, I was up there. I think I ranked 300 in UFC pick'em, so not too bad. I couldn't put any of the parlays together because two of my losses were in all of my parlay picks. Anyways, bad on me. So yeah, we'll jump right into our pre-fight predictions for UFC Fight Night 121. We are leaving behind all the BS for the beginning of this card. There's just a lot of fights on there that we just really didn't care to cover. Sorry, I don't mean to disrespect any of the fighters that are on the card, but we just didn't really feel like there was much on there to get us excited. So we're going to jump in and start with one of the preliminary fights. It is Ryan Benoit versus Ashkan Mokhtarian. And yeah, man, good stuff there. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ryan, our boy. He's right out of Plano, which is pretty much right next door. We used to live in Plano, so we've been following some of these guys for quite a while. He trains out of Saxon Gym, and yeah, man, go ahead, dude. You go ahead. I'll pull up some more information here.
Yeah, I can break down Ryan for you. Man, it's so cool to know this guy because he fights really elite guys, and I can't say that I've either lived in the same city or personally known him through another guy. Actually, Saxon's son is one of my good buddies, so I know Benoit through him. He trains Benoit and goes to all of his fights and everything. So it's really cool when you got a personal fighter on there. And I think, you know, if you're looking for parlays or you're looking for bets, probably leave my logic out because I'm going to go Benoit win or lose in this fight. I like his explosiveness, and if you know anything about Saxon Muay Thai or Janjira Muay Thai, man, these guys come hunting and they want to knock you out, which is why he has 7 KOs out of 9 wins. And he's never been KO'd himself. His only losses were to Brandon Moreno by decision, Ben Nguyen by submission, which was the rear naked, and then before that, Josh Sampo. But this kid's fought 5 fights in the UFC. I like to think that he's starting to gain momentum, starting to gain a good fight IQ, considering you're fighting really good guys and winning over guys like Freddie Serrano. And let's not forget he knocked out Sergio Pettis too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't forget those things. Those are big things to note with Benoit, and I really like him in this matchup here. He's not the only thing I do worry about Benoit with sometimes is his size, which is his height. He's 5'5", but this guy is fighting Ashkan Mokhtarian right out of New South Wales, Sydney. Man, I don't know how to feel about him because he's come fighting out of promotions like GNI, EMMA, HFS, WW, Rebel FC, and he doesn't stay consistent with any of these. He goes in, gets himself a round 1, round 2 knockout, and kind of moves on with the fight promotion, and then comes in and fights John Moraga, And I think John Moraga beat him pretty clearly, in my opinion, just with the point striking. But he is at a Australian top team, and the one way if you're gonna beat Ryan is you need to keep Ryan on the ground. So he does have a chance at this, but man, I don't know how comfortable I feel with this guy. I mean, he has one fight in the UFC. It wasn't all that impressive, and I think there's a lot of overhype going on here. So I'm going to go Ryan Benoit, TKO round 1.
Well, you know, in watching fights on both of these guys, you mentioned 2 fights that I think stood out for me the most, and you also highlighted what I think is probably babyface Benoit's, you know, biggest accomplishment to date, which was, you know, knocking out Sergio Pettis. Joe Rogan said while commentating one of his fights that you shouldn't count Ryan out. And that's really how I feel about it. I mean, this dude is a brawler. People really weren't giving Ryan a fair look. You know, he took Sergio down with ease in the first round, but they were in a slugfest when they were on their feet. Sergio wound up on top in a scramble, and Sergio let Ryan get back to his feet. In the last minute, Sergio threw some awesome kicks, heavy punches, but Ryan has got a chin, and he absorbed, you know, a heavy beating. In the second round, Ryan comes out with a new sense of urgency, and, you know, in a huge exchange of leather, Ryan connects a huge left hook, flashes Sergio, jumps right on top of him, and pulls the TKO stoppage. The kick he threw at the end after the ref stopped the fight, I don't know if anybody's familiar with that whole controversy there. You know, it was just a mistake Ryan made. He owned up to it right there, right there in the octagon. Ryan was the underdog, but he pulled off the upset there. He was pretty emotional. You know, then he fought Olympic wrestler Freddie Serrano, and I went back and watched that one over again just to recap. And you know, he took that fight on 10 days' notice. And in the first round, Ryan dropped Serrano and attempted to finish him with a guillotine, but Freddie showed his strength, managed to get back to his feet. Ryan was the aggressor, and, you know, he chooses his moments to engage. At the end of the round 1, the buzzer goes off, and Ryan threw another punch. Again, a late strike. Is he just in the zone, you know, when that happens, or what? I'm not really sure. You know, he could just be an overly emotional guy and is wrapped up in the fight so much that he's zoning everything else out. It happens. But at the same time, people are always watching him because they're looking to see if he's going to continue. You know, it's kind of looked on and frowned upon as being unprofessional. In the round 2 of that fight, he defended the takedown and put Serrano in a standing guillotine. Then Serrano got Ryan to his back, and Ryan scrambled to his feet, but spent the last minute on his back just lying on Ryan, utilizing his heavy upper body frame. The third round, Freddie came right out, secured a takedown on Ryan, and again, pretty much just laid on Ryan until the ref stood him up. Now, Benoit gets the takedown, but can't keep Serrano down, and you know, he pulled off the win by split decision. Freddie couldn't finish Ryan, and that's the key point here, in my opinion. He lost his fight last December with Brandon Moreno, which, you know, he lost that by split decision, and that was a tough fight. Even though Ryan dropped Brandon with his heavy hands, he just got outworked by Brandon. And Moreno's very unorthodox in his fight game, and, you know, Ryan fights at that street fight level, man. He just comes at you. He's going to give it to you. And in my opinion, Ryan's due for another win. Mokhtarian, he's a great wrestler. This is his second fight in the UFC. He's 13-2. You mentioned the fight with John Moraga. He showed extreme strength by getting to his feet while in a deep guillotine by Moraga. He fought his way out of a deep rear naked choke. He didn't panic when he was on his back. The first round, Moraga got the better of the ground exchange, but in round 2, Ashkan showed some good kicks. I noticed that he runs away and takes shots, you know, because he turns his back to his opponent, and that's probably not so smart. That's one thing that stood out to me, and I just was like, hey, you got to watch that, because a good fighter's going to watch that and pick up on that little key. That's something that might really he might take damage from somebody if he continues to do that. Where was I back? He was able to withstand heavy blows. Moraga took him to the ground again late in the round. and just showed the difference in the levels. And in the third round, John took him to the ground immediately and just dominated Ashkan in every aspect of the ground game. John attempted every type of submission there is, but Ashkan proved to have a killer defense, and he worked out of each of those attempts. John won by unanimous decision in that one. Although Mokhtarian isn't at that level of John Moraga, he does display real toughness. He's got a true confidence in himself and in his defense. It might turn into a threat in the division. You know, it'll truly be the evolution of Mokhtarian that we have to watch to see really where he's going to go. I'm with you on this one. It's hard for me. You know, I know Brian's strengths. I feel like we follow him pretty good, and I'm going to take him same as you. How did you take it, by decision?
Round 1 KO.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I'm taking it by decision. I don't know that he can actually knock Mokhtarian out. I feel like this is just going to be, this isn't a hard one for me to pick, but I feel like it's a hard one for me to predict how it's going to end. So
I agree with that.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. And let's see, this is the first fight that we don't have Vegas odds before we jump into what the line is. But I think you're pretty good here with Ryan. I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I think you're pretty good here. What do we got? What's our next fight?
Next fight is Alexander Volkanovski versus Shane Young. It's a pretty interesting fight. I don't think there's too much dynamically going on here. I do like Volkanovski a lot in this because he's got a lot of tenacity and energy and spunkiness to him. And it seems like he's good in almost every asset of in the fight game. I mean, can things be cleaned up and nicer and perfected? Yes, but he seems to have great knowledge of what's going on in the octagon. And you don't have to watch very much film to see it. I mean, he, as the smaller fighter, usually he's used to that. He grinds it. He puts him up against the fence. He sucks the energy from his opponents. I love that. And then, but you know, like Shane Young, I don't know, man. He doesn't look quite ready for me. And maybe you think different. I don't know. I just don't see it. He's coming out of Glory of Heroes, WLF, Brace 43, Minotaur 3, and he's beaten all these guys by decision. One of them was TKO, some dude I've never even heard of. I just, once again, this is a levels fight for me. Who knows? Maybe being in New Zealand and Shane Young being the home taker here, maybe that's what fuels him to the win, but I don't see it. I don't see how Shane stands a chance in this fight. So I'm going to take Volkanovski. Let's see. I'm going to take him by KO in the first.
Well, you know, there's no content available right now on Fight Pass for Volkanovski, so you have to go out on YouTube to actually see something. The one thing that I've always noticed about Volkanovski is that he's got a really, really good takedown defense. You know, he's an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, I'm pretty sure. He's kind of just a well-rounded guy. Big, heavy hands, too, you know. This is a dude
he throws real hard with that right hand.
Exactly. And you know, the one thing that I've said, at least the last two fights that we watched with him, if he you don't want him to land on top of you. Because if he gets on top, man, that's where he's going to hurt you. You know, he's real good at controlling you from that position. He's a grinder. So, yeah, and Young, this is his UFC debut. He comes out of ground control MMA in Auckland, New Zealand. I watched a fight in XFC versus Adrian Rodriguez where he defeated Adrian in a 5-round championship match. He showed good footwork, pretty decent boxing skills. He's got nice leg kicks, powerful strikes, especially his hook. He's taken this fight on short notice. I'm pretty sure this was like the second or third person to be popped into this spot for this fight. He was supposed to fight Humberto Bandone. That would have been a great fight too, I think. But yeah, man, I don't really know what to think about Young right now. I think that I just think that he's outclassed here. I think Volkan's going to take this.
It's a level game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it, and I've got a lot of these by decision. I think a lot of them are just they may end in different ways. Other analysts, may call taking the decision the easy way out, but I really see I see them grinding these fights out. These are dudes that are known to go all the way. So, anyways, I've got Volkanovski by decision on that one. So we also
before we move on, can I share something about Shane Young real quick? I forgot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Something I noticed in his film study. I'm with you. I like his long jab. I really like that. But what I don't like is there's no head movement in anything. So everything's bop, 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 not swift and in and out. Yeah. And that's just the levels thing we're talking about. Yeah. So Volkanovski doesn't fight like that. Actually, he's waiting for you to throw the jab to either A, take you down, or B, look for a huge right hand coming over the top. So I don't know. I just don't see this being Shane Young's fight.
Well, check this
out. And if you think I'm wrong, then fucking comment.
Right? Vegas odds are incredible. Volkanovski's -600. Shane Young +400. So, I mean, unless you're just going not on a crazy limb there, it looks like the world sees Alex as the clear winner here. So, our next fight is in the middleweight division between Elias Theodorou and Daniel Kelly. Old man Kelly coming to play once again. He's going up against pretty much the young buck. What's he, 28, 29 years old, up against a 40-year-old in Daniel Kelly. Yeah, man, I think this one is just, I don't want to say it's going to be an uneventful fight, but I really just kind of see in this one being, again, one of those grinders. It's going to go all three, unless something crazy happens and Daniel Kelly winds up landing a heavy blow and is able to catch Elias. I just see Elias pulling another, run, dodge, move. He's so good at it. Theodorou, he is the Tough Nations middleweight winner. He throws high volume strikes, fast-paced rhythm, great cardio, great kicks. In his last fight with Brad Tavares in July of this year, he had a slight reach advantage, and he ended up losing by decision. But it did go all 3 rounds, and a lot of people didn't predict that. They thought Brad was going to knock him out. He couldn't stop Brad from taking him down. He didn't have the power advantage in the strike department. His previous fight he won by decision was Cesar Ferreira, and before Cesar was Sam Alvey. So he can outpoint you, and I'm assuming that if he's going to do like he did in those 2 fights with Kelly, that's exactly how it's going to happen. He'll outpoint Kelly and pretty much run from him all night. Kelly's just going to probably move forward. He's a 4-time national judo champ, black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. His last fight, he got knocked out early in the first round by Derek Brunson back in June of this year. Prior to that, he had big wins over Rashad Evans, Chris Camozzi, knocked out Antonio Carlos Jr. His only other loss in the UFC was to Sam Alvey back in 2015, and that was when Sam was still taking things seriously, I would say. Kelly's got heavy hands, big wide strikes, lots of power. He takes a licking and he keeps on ticking, He can take huge blows. He tends to be the aggressor, like I said earlier, and he's got a constant forward pressure. I think he'll be constantly chasing Elias around the octagon, but Elias will most likely prefer to dodge and run from Kelly and engage him on his own terms. That's kind of how I'm seeing this, and yet again, here we are, another one that's, in my opinion, probably going to go the distance. That's the way Elias typically finishes his fights. What comes to mind he's not nearly as efficient. I'm not even putting him on the same level, but he's another Stephen Thompson. He knows how to score, and that's how he wins his fights. So how about you? What you got on this?
Yeah, I'm going Elias too, but it's not like I would say leave this out of expect an upset here because a 4-time national anything at the Olympic level, there's always that chance. And Daniel Kelly's proven that over and over again. Like, I've taken him on 3 underdog bets. I didn't take him versus Brunson, which he inevitably got knocked out, and that's why I didn't go Daniel Kelly. But I'm not worried about a knockout from Elias. That's the thing. And when you're not worried about the knockout, then I mean, just watch the tape. Even at 40, 38, 36, 37, Daniel Kelly can do things that a 40-year-old man shouldn't be able to do, and do it to young guys and be efficient. And he's great. He's super efficient at taking the fight away from you.
Yeah.
Putting you against the cage. Once he sinks double underhooks, I think that's one of the best double underhook games in the clinch I've ever seen. But it's because he's been doing judo probably since he was 10.
Right.
And he has just a fluid understanding of the mat and how that works. So I'm going Elias here. I'm not comfortable with it because Elias isn't a powerful. He's not one of the guys I look forward to seeing fight. Mm-hmm. He dances around the cage, tries to make sure he doesn't leave that long pointy chin of his out.
That pretty face.
That pretty little Pinocchio nose and face out there. But I could see Daniel making this fight dirty. And, Will Martin's another guy that likes Daniel Kelly just because you always want to count him out when he's supposed to be counted in. And he has the background to prove that. I don't know why so many people just see him and look at age and go, oh, shit. I've seen this before, but you haven't. He's pretty low on mileage for 13-2. He hasn't had that very many fights on his record. So I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling because I'm unsure, but expect an upset here. I'm gonna go Theodorou with the points though by decision.
Well, good deal. Vegas has got Elias favored at -260 and Daniel Kelly at +200. So at least we got Vegas on our side. Next fight is in the welterweight division between Jake Mathews and Bojan Velickovic. You want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm going to go Bojan. I'm not too impressed with Jake Mathews. If Bojan can go 3 rounds with Darren Till, and there was times where he was working Darren Till's leg down.
Vicious kicks, right?
Yeah, just vicious. If he's just missing a couple little things, and he'd actually be a good fighter. He's an okay fighter, right, that you can count on against C to C+ level competition, because he's probably a B- level fighter himself. Levels. Yeah, just levels. And Jake Mathews, I don't see the levels in. He's crafty. I don't know. He's manipulative. He's opportunistic, but I didn't like what I saw in Andrew Holbrook. And I think if Andrew Holbrook can beat Jake Mathews, then I certainly think Bojan can. So I'm going to go Bojan by decision.
Bojan by decision. See, it's these decision fights, man. This is tough. Mathews, he's moving up to welterweight, by the way. He's an Australian fighter. He's got the Australian crowd behind him there. He's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is the XLR 8. He uses that training center. That's where I don't know who his trainer is, but I know that's where he trains. He's really well-rounded. I watched his fight with James Vick, of course, my boy James. James beat him up. Beat him and won by submission, in the 3rd round. Funny how that just repeated itself. Really strong. Jake Mathews he's got fast hands. He's got heavy hands. His last fight versus Andrew Holbrook in November of last year, he lost again by split decision, and that was in Australia. Before that, a huge loss to Kevin Lee, where Kevin Lee knocked him out in the 1st round. He only had one fight outside of Australia, and that was with Kevin Lee. Matthews' father, Matthews' father is a coach of his, and he's in his corner when he fights. Velickovic, Serbian fighter, currently training at Team Elevation in Colorado. Former member of Resurrection Fighting Alliance. He was the welterweight champion in that fighting, whatever you call that
organization.
Thank you. Bojan will be the longer reaching. He's the taller fighter, and really, if he fights this fight like he fought Till, like you mentioned, he's going to most likely win this. It's certainly by decision if he can't finish Mathews. I'm not overly confident in this pick by any means. However, I am with you, man. You want to see what this guy's made of. Just go watch the Darren Till fight and Bojan Velickovic, and I think that'll at least show you the grind that this guy can put out for 3 solid rounds. I'm going to do it too. I'm taking Velickovic by decision. Let's see. We have got...
I think Bojan's an underdog.
Jake Mathews is the favor, -155, so it's just a slight edge. Bojan is at +125, so not a big underdog there. It may change, actually. We've seen it happen, closer to fight night. But if that turns out to be your dog, man, take it. Punch that in on some parlays with some winners, man, and take the money, dude, because I really think you've got a really good chance to make it here. All right, our next fight. What do we got, man? What do we got? Dirty Bird Tim Means in the welterweight division versus Belal Muhammed. And I'm anxious for this fight, man. I always come anxious to see a Tim Means fight. You want me to start, or you want to kick this one off?
Let me start this one off because
right.
I want to hear what you got for the Beck Rawlings and Jessica Rose Clark fight. So, with Tim Means, you talk about just like everything you want to see out of a stand-up striker. This guy's got it. He's got range. He's got flowiness to him. He's got Muay Thai kicks from hell. He's got inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks, teep kicks, front kicks, spitting kicks, elbows from the clinch, knees from the clinch. This is what I want to see if I'm wanting to see a fight, which is why this is my fight of the night. And I think you can also expect something like a KO of the night to occur. Belal, let's just get it straight. He may have a win over Randy Brown that he had to grind for. He may have a win over Jordan Maine, which he had to grind for. And he won both of those by decision. And his fight before both of those fights was against Vicente Luque, and he was knocked out in the first round. And that's what sticks out in my mind when I think about Belal. Does he have cardio for days? Does he have grind? Does he have takedowns? Does he have takedown defense? Yes. All of that's being established very well at Rufus Sport, but I'm seeing through the clouds on this one and seeing the sunlight. And the Dirty Bird's going to tear Belal up for this one reason. Go watch Muhammad's tape, and you're going to see this fool takes damage on the reg. Like, we're talking every second of every round. He takes damage and expects you to wear out, and once you do, you're pretty much fucked from there because he's got a gas tank. Like, you have to put him out, or you have to wear him out before he outwears you. And Tim Means is not the guy to be fighting if that's your game plan, because he's going to go strike for strike, round for round. And with Tim Means being the taller guy here at 6'2" and Belal's 5'10", I feel really good, especially with 18 KOs on my record as well. So, I'm good with Tim Means by TKO at some point. I'm not sure about this, so I'll just take round 2. I'm throwing a guess out there. But I think I can see him TKOing Belal for the second time.
Okay. Well, Tim Means, fighting out of Albuquerque, trainer Tom Vaughn, Power MMA. He's used to having the slight height and reach advantage, always on his side. Tim's got a crazy life story. I urge you to go out there and just take a look at him, read up on him. He's been a drug user. He was doing meth at one time in his life. The guy's been shot in the leg. He says MMA turned his life around, and he's living proof that you can pull yourself up out of the dirt. You just have to have the willpower to do it. He's an excellent striker. I mean, you mentioned all the different things that he's capable of. I think some of his main weapons that are probably underrated with him is how he utilizes his sharp elbows. His Muay Thai skills really shine when he's in the clinch. Great kicks, like you said. I mean, we could go on and on. I used to be really high on the hog with Tim Means, but things have changed, Muhammad, he fights out of Chicago, an Illinois boy, purple belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's got a boxing background. His last fight with Jordan Maine in July of this year, he showed great kicks from both sides, killer overhand right, fast hands, good combos, had good elbows in the clinch, showed good cardio, nice takedowns, and he managed to wear Maine down, and he won the fight by unanimous decision. Belal's going to be the smaller fighter with means, but his ability makes up for it. You know, the same outcome with Randy Brown before Maine. He's had 5 fights in the UFC since July of 2016, so this guy is staying incredibly active as a fighter. I'm feeling it. I felt it last week with Nina Ansaroff. This is how I'm feeling it with Muhammad. I know I'm probably going against the grain here. I've got Muhammad by decision. Let me see what Vegas has, because I haven't looked and see what the odds say. They have Tim Means favored, of course, negative 235. So Belal's not too far behind. He's got plus 185. I'm going to take that dog yet again. It pulled off for me. I pulled up a couple upsets with some underdogs last week, and I'm really feeling this one for whatever reason. So, yeah, man, I have no problem going Tim Means. I don't think your choice is, you know, a bad one. 8 times out of 10, I'm picking Tim Means. So,
another thing to note with Tim Means, the Dirty Bird just 2 years ago, y'all knocked out the Bellator dominant champion Diego Lima, and knocked him out in the first round, unconscious, cold. So that just happened.
Yeah,
like, I know that seems forever ago, but it's not.
He's got all the ability in the world. So
it
just depends on which guy shows up, in my opinion.
Right.
So the last, you said you wanted me to kick this one off. This is women's flyweight co-main event. Bec Rawlings versus Jessica Rose Clark. Jessica Rose Clark is stepping in short notice for Joanne Calderwood. I guess Joanne hurt herself somehow. I'm not sure the details on it. I just know that she's physically hurt, and Clark has stepped in. Bec Rawlings from Australia. Both of them are from Australia. Rawlings' last fight in February of this year versus Tecia Torres. It was her second bout with Tecia. She did miss weight. She gave up 20% of her purse. And then she also took the loss. So literally 2 times she's fought Tecia Torres and has just been outclassed, really. You know, Ticia's, we talk about levels, and that is a perfect example, in my opinion. Tecia is just at another level. Now, I'm not really trying to take anything away from Bec because, you know, I believe in her. I just wonder how much she believes in herself. This is a tight matchup for me. Clark, again, taking the fight on short notice. This will be her UFC debut. She's from Australian Top Team, not affiliated with America Top Team in any way. She is a native Australian fighter. She, another one with a wild story. You know, she's got a crazy life thus far, and she's still pretty young. Tough childhood, comes from poverty, homelessness. She feels like she's endured the hardest struggles in her life, and you know, at one point in time, I thought this was a wild little fact. She actually gave up fighting to please her fiance, who didn't want her, you know, going in and getting beat up. And when they split, when her and this guy split up, she returned to MMA, and she just says that it was the best thing that ever happened to her was, you know, just being able to come back, and she knew something was missing in her life, and she feels like she found it. She's got a solid ground game, big, strong legs and thighs, powerful upper body as well. I watched her in a fight in Japan. It's an organization called Battlefield, and she showed toughness. She spent an entire round with a big girl on her back trying to get the choke. You know, it was pretty much a grudge match for the entire three rounds. I've come to the conclusion this one is a really tight matchup for me. There's no way I could say that I'm safe in my pick, but I've chosen to take Bec Rawlings on this one. She is favored just slightly at negative 165. Clark at plus 135. That's just even too close to even call there. But I did take, again, a lot of these by decision, and I'm thinking that Bec might just grind this one out and just work her way, just kind of control Clark. And if she can display that upper ground game that her last opponent, when I say her last opponent, it was one of her opponents, the fight I watched in Japan. I feel like if Bec is able to pull that off, she will be able to grind this out and just kind of get the win. I don't see this as being a really eventful matchup. I'm actually questioning why it's the co-main event. In my opinion, Means or Muhammad could have been. You mentioned your fight of the night was Means and Muhammad. Mine is Benoit Mokhtarian, so I was glad that we started there. Not only repping the Texas boy, but I think that has got all the opportunity to be a performance of the night or fight of the night as well. So, but this one, very uneventful. I don't see this as being a big, just neither one of them I don't think have knockout power. So I think this goes to submission. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are your thoughts. You hit every point I could bring up. I mean, I can just cut it short. I got Beck Rawlings by decision. I don't think Jessica Clark is ready to step up to that level yet, especially on this short notice. I think this is a terrible co-main event, just for the record. Mm-hmm. And I know that out there in Australia, that's a place that MMA is really taken off, but it really sucks that you're putting together cards like this where there's not a whole lot of, like, is there a lot of Australian support and fighters? Yeah, but you want the light to shine when you're in your country, you know? Yeah. And this card just doesn't have a whole lot of light in it. So, but yeah, no, I'm going Beck Rawlings by decision, and I don't think it's going to be an eventful fight. I think it's going to be an ugly, lower level fight. And if you're going Clark, I can see why, because Rawlings isn't accustomed to winning. So, but yeah, I'm going to go Rawlings just based on experience and height, and she's kind of been through a little more than Clark fighting wise. So,
all right, well, good deal. Brings us to the main event, heavyweight department. We got Fabricio Werdum versus Marcin Tybura. I went last time. Why don't you take over?
All right. Yeah, so we got Tybura coming out of Poland. He's got a great game. Only thing is with wins over Arlovsky, Luis Enrique de Oliveira, and Victor Pesta, and then a loss against Timothy Johnson, I don't see this fight going good for Tybura here. Only because let me just run down the line for you real quick of who Fabricio's fought. Fabricio put Walt Harris out in October with a submission armbar in the first round. He lost to Alistair Overeem in his last fight in July before that, and by decision. And I think we both had him winning that fight. I thought for sure he won that, and that decision pissed me off. But we're going to get into the shit about the refs. I mean the judges later. But he's beat Travis Brown by a 3-round decision. He's gone up against Stipe, and we know what happened there.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was champ until he lost that belt to Stipe.
But here's how I look at this, okay? Just to break it down real quick. Tybura has great strengths with his hands and his feet. He throws really good-looking shit. He has no fucking gas tank. So
low cardio.
He has no cardio, and he's completely depending on a first-round KO. So I can see where people are going and picking this against the 40-year-old Werdum. But at the same time, if we go back to 2015, Werdum was putting guys like Cain Velasquez in guillotine chokes. And, I mean, name the last time Cain went out to any type of choke with that wrestling background. So, I mean, he was putting guys like Mark Hunt out with TKO knees and punches. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Werdum is the pick here. I don't have very many points I can bring up for Marcin other than he's probably better than Werdum in a lot of areas on the feet, but we know who Fabricio is, and this isn't going to be a stand-up banger. Unless Werdum wants it to be, but why would you want it to be against somebody so inexperienced on the ground? I don't see the logic there. So I'm gonna go Fabricio round 3 submission. No, round 2 submission. Round 2 submission.
Well, I went round 3 submission. So yeah, I guess I'm seeing it exactly like you are. I mean, your inclination even was to throw out 3. Just remember that. So yeah, I'm taking round 3. That seems to be logical, and it could probably go in 2 or 1. You know, I'm not saying Marcin Tybura is just another Walt Harris. Okay, I think Werdum just came out and had his way with Walt. I have no idea what the hell happened there, but man, that was just, you talk about a display of I'm here and you're not. That was just. that's what that showed. I mean, and maybe, you know, Fabricio's trying to get back those wins to be able to get back up there and have that chance again at taking the belt. I assume that's what the grind is here. But this should be an easy fight for him. You know, all he's got to do is really avoid that big hand. And to your point, if he wants to stay on his feet and exchange, we've seen Werdum do that. It's not beyond him to try to slug it out. Tybura, I just can't see Werdum not already planning for the fact that Tybura, the longer this fight goes, every minute Tybura loses the opportunity to win this fight. So going into that, I just kind of think maybe the game plan has been like we've seen it before with Werdum, where he takes this type of an opportunity to just show kind of some of his skills in different areas. Maybe lands the takedown. I could see him, you know, getting the takedown in round 2, round 3, and then finishing it from there. We'll see, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to go down. Tybura, you know, he's a young up-and-coming prospect, but again, man, he's not there, dude. He's not there. You said it yourself. The top of the top is who Werdum fights, okay? The top. Alistair Overeem, Travis Brown, Stipe, Cain Velasquez, Mark Hunt. Man, Nogueira. I mean, come on. So, yeah, I'm with you. There is just no fight in that one. There's no question in my mind. I've got to stick with Werdum. And he is heavily favored. Vegas odds have him at -370. Marcin at +280. So, I'm not saying that Marcin can't land some crazy punch and get lucky, but I think that is highly, highly doubtful.
Highly. But, I mean, just for the record, what a terrible main event and co-main for this. It's just nuts. I can't believe that. I can't believe this guy's getting a shot at Fabricio. Does that fascinate you? I mean, where's Fabricio sitting right now? Number 1, number 2, number 3?
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't go look at standings. I just know that, you know, Fabricio stepped in on this fight, right?
I think so.
He filled in for somebody and took this fight on short notice, I think. Have to check that out. Something happened there. But, yeah, you know, Werdum's just I think he's just looking to rack up some wins and get him back to, you know, to standing so that he can get another title shot. That's the only thing that seems to make sense for me. So.
Oh my God, get this. Fabricio is sitting right under Alistair and Stipe at number 2. And guess where Tybura is?
I don't even know where.
Number 8.
Okay. Well, I would have said 10, so. Yeah, I don't know, man. We've seen this happen before, though. You know, shit happens. All right, well, let's move on, man. Let's move on. We'll come back next week and we'll talk all about that. Let's move on to our post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 120. Poirier-Pettis, we got just as much to talk about in here, so it worked itself out well that we had to cut this one short simply due to lack of interest, but that gives us more time to be able to discuss a few things that really popped up and shined through on this last fight for us. We made notes on some of these fights so that we could come back and actually point out things that made for typical discussion in our house. And, you know, maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. But either way, let us know how you feel. We got a comment section down there for a reason. If you've made it this far, then you got through our predictions. And, you know, if you're hanging out with us and you want to hear what we got to say for our post-fight analysis, that's great, man, because there's still information to be discussed. And if you agree or disagree, take an opportunity to leave a message down there and let us know what you think. Again, follow the timestamps, move forward, backwards, however you want. And don't forget about that Fantasy Pick'em League on UFC.com. Don't forget about that. We want you to come sign up, and let's make that thing grow as well. So let's get into it. UFC Fight Night 120, Poirier versus Pettis. Had a lot happening. Kick us off, brother.
Yeah, starting off with Carl Robertson and Darren Stewart. I think we called this I feel like I called this fight perfect. I mean, Darren Stewart just doesn't seem to have the power or the tenacity you need to survive in that division. And clearly Carl Robertson did what we saw in his highlights with the elbows and ability to stop the takedown. It was there. After rocking Darren, he put him out with a rear naked choke in round 1. And I think I said round 1 TKO, but it was for the rear naked. So either way, I'll take the finish and go Carl.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I had Robertson, and it was just a good start to the night. Pretty much went down exactly the way we thought it would, don't you think?
Yep, and then great starts in this sport turn to great fucking losses. And that's the story with this next fight between Jake Collier and Marcel Fortuna. I said when they weighed in that I was worried that because Jake was so much bigger and he looked like he had a little fire in his eyes. But just for the record, so it's out there. And Marcel, I hope you hear this. What the fuck was your game plan?
Right off the bat, when he came out, he was on his back foot.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy that
Marcel's the better striker. He's the better presser. He's a hard nose. Where was this dude? What was he doing?
I don't know, man. Somebody took the tiger out of him. It was really strange because Collier pretty much bullied him. He really did. He just bullied him around the octagon. It's crazy.
And Fortuna rocked Jake like 2 or 3 times in the fight.
Yeah. Like
knocked Jake down and didn't go finish or jump or it was just really hard to watch.
It was. How did you? I had Fortuna by decision. How did you pick him on that one?
I had Fortuna by 1 round. I think Jake got the first round. And Fortuna found his way back into the second, and then the third you could have scored either way. So I get why Jake got it. But
no. I mean, how did you pick the fight? How did you think it was going to end?
Oh, I think I said Fortuna by submission.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that definitely didn't even get close to happening because for whatever the reason, Fortuna wouldn't go to the ground with him.
Yeah. No, Collier, like I said, Collier got the better of him. Fortuna didn't show up. That's just one of those deals where you go back and look at post-fight of any of Fortuna's fights, and he came out and fought a different fight for whatever reason. I have no idea.
I have no clue.
Yeah. But the next one was Court McGee versus Sean Strickland. And I called this one exactly the way it went down. I called Strickland by decision. I think you went McGee on this one. But
no, I went Strickland round 1 TKO.
Good deal. So we were back on winning track there. That one felt pretty good. Went down pretty much the way I thought it was going to go down.
Yeah, Sean just looked classier. Actually, I gave Court the first round, but Strickland came out in round 2 and 3, and I think if I remember correctly, we heard his corner say something to him, and it fired him up, and he came out and just put it on Court and used his movement and rolled to the left. It was nice.
Yeah.
Good win.
Got it by unanimous decision on that one, so not bad. Next fight was our female fight. It was Angela Hill versus Nina Ansaroff. And you went with Angela, what most people did. I went with Nina, just had a kind of a hunch, kind of a funny feeling that day about Ansaroff, and she proved me right. She ground out the decision. I guess that was just one of those ones where you could say I got lucky, but at the same time, I think if you go back and listen to what I said about her, I said this could probably go either way, but something was telling me Ansaroff. I felt like she has evolved. She must be evolving in the camp. You know, she's surrounded by champs, and she's, sleeping, living, breathing, bathing, I'm sure, with Amanda Nunes. And I'm sure some of the Lioness probably rubs off just a little bit.
I wasn't very impressed by either of these girls. I expected more from each. I expected Ansaroff to be better with her grappling, better with her neutralization, and Angela Hill was able to get up. And then I expected more crisp and more energy from Angela Hill, and it looks like she started to fade after round 1. Could have been a hard weight cut, could have been juice, who knows. But, this is a very pointy fight, and I don't know, man. I didn't enjoy this fight so much. I don't know why.
It wasn't exciting to me by any means, but at the same time, I didn't expect it to be. I just figured it would be a grinder.
Yeah.
So, speaking of exciting fights, why don't we jump to the next one? Sage Northcutt versus Michelle Quinones. That was an awesome fight.
Right? This is another fight that, after the weigh-in, I immediately changed my mind and switched to Sage. I put him in all my bets because once you saw those two look at each other, I thought Michelle was going to be slightly less bigger, but no, Sage was huge. And when Sage is huge in his fights and he wants to fight guys that are willing to stand up, that's the right game plan. Also, shout out to Sage for working with
Alpha Male.
Team Alpha Male on his takedowns. Those look great. I know that they were at the end of the round, but dude, if you can develop that wrestling game, oh my God, those takedowns were perfect. So
that's what he's there to do. You know, if he's going to be hanging out with those boys, there's one area where he is going to improve, and that's his wrestling game.
It's good to see him evolving. So good win to him. And unfortunately, I caught a loss that I wish I could have changed. Back. Yeah.
Well, I believe in Northcutt. I believe that there is a future for this kid, and he definitely proved it in that fight because, man, everybody had him counted out. So, yeah, he did it exactly what I said. He ground out the decision. He outpointed it. So, our next fight was Tatiana Suarez versus Viviane Pereira in the strawweight division. And I picked Suarez. Just about everybody else picked Pereira. I tried to tell everybody that Suarez was the real deal, and I think she absolutely proved it. She has got a ground game that is disgustingly good. I'm just telling everybody in that division, man, you go to the ground with Tatiana, whatever the hell her name is, she is going to beat your ass. She just blew me away on the ground, man. And you know what? I still think she's evolving because, you know, she's still having a tough time working those, you know, some of those chokes in. But at the same time, Viviane doesn't have a neck. And, you know, we watched her struggle with that through the whole fight. Was how do you finish a girl with no neck who's built like a brick shit house, got a bulldog neck, and, you know, the whole time you're riding her back, you know, there's got to be another way to be able to finish that sooner, in my opinion. However, she didn't take a beating. Her face was clean. At the end of the fight, she didn't look like she had been in a fight. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to really good things with Tatiana. Did I win you over? Did she win you over?
No, I'm not very impressed. I think that her wrestling is great for where it stands, but there's clearly things missing. You shouldn't be able to, like, you're in the women's division where the TKOs rarely happen from the ground and pound, and you spent 15 minutes either on A, Pereira's back, or B, in full mount, and you couldn't manage to finish the fight. I think I remember in the middle of the fight, you had said, God, look at those takedowns. And I went, yeah, it's fucking amazing. Her neutralization is great. But neutralization only gets you so far against when you get higher in that division. So am I saying great job on the win and against somebody who I thought was going to put it on her standing up? Awesome. I think that's great. But she hasn't been in a fight yet, clearly. And I worry, if you don't know how to finish somebody, what are you going to look like when someone's jiu-jitsu and wrestling is Jessica Andrade, let's just throw that name out there. When you fight that, you have to make that person tap. Otherwise, she's going to grind you. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is. I think it's too early to tell with Tatiana.
And it should be. And it should be. That was only her 6th fight ever.
Right. So. Right. So I don't know. I'm pumping the brakes for now. Who knows? That might be a pick in the future, depending on who she fights next and how she wins. If she keeps developing, then you're right. She'll be really, really good. I'm very lost on how you can look that dominant on the ground and you don't find a way to finish. I know that Pereira doesn't have a neck, but there's arms, there's rear nakeds, there's ways, there's things that you should be able to do in 15 minutes. Of grinding a chick out. But the one thing we have to give Pereira is she never gave up. Like, never scrambled out of full mount. 8 times. I mean, this was a cool fight for a couple different reasons. But yeah, that's where I stand with Tatiana. I'm expecting big things, but I don't want to rev the gas on her yet, because the truth is we don't even know what she looks like standing up. What happens with the girl that she can't take down, that equals her in wrestling? I don't know what to see standing up yet. It's just I'm left in limbo with her right now.
And that's good, dude. That's good. You just need some more time. You'll come around. And you know what? She's going to come around, because to your point, she's going to have to improve her striking. That is hands down. I mean, it's something that we saw in her run on Tough. She depends on that ground game. But I tell you, man, I mean, you go look at any of the fights prior to Borja, and any chick that's got a neck, if she gets your back, you're done. You're done. I mean, she's just too long and lanky. She's able to put herself into positions that make it so difficult for you, number one, just to get away from her, but number two, to get any type of control over her. So she's got some things to learn. I'll give you that, man, but I think we are going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm watching her. I'm following her just like Sage Northcutt. I think it's a matter of time, evolution, and training, and we are going to see huge things out of her. So our next fight, man, this was just a huge upset for me. It absolutely jacked my card up. Some people say this was should have been a close one. I've listened to a couple other analysts describe what they thought about this. A lot of people weren't surprised by Moraes. I'm just going to say I was completely shocked. I have no idea how this one turned out to go to a decision in Moraes' favor. It was a split decision at that, and I'm sorry. I just this was one of the things that we wrote down here. The frequency of fights, you know, just feeling like you're robbed by judges, and you know, I know what they say. Don't leave it in the judges' hands. I get that, but it's getting kind of annoying. Okay, and I know that we're trying to make money on this. And that puts us kind of in a different ball game of why we're angry and why it pisses us off. But my God, man, I mean, it literally came to my mind that, you know, they drug test the fighters. Maybe they need to start drug testing the judges, you know, prior to them, maybe the night before, just to find out if we got some cokeheads or some dudes that are coming in there on meth, you know, or something else, and they're just fucking not seeing what we're seeing. I don't know, man, but there's got to be a logical answer there. Either that or we really got some blind people watching and judging these fights. What are your thoughts?
I think this fight was a complete fuck up on the judge's behalf. I mean, remember the crazy ass scores? It was one judge had it 30-27 Dodson. That was the first judge.
Yep.
Second judge had it 30-27 Marlon.
Yep.
And as long as you have decisions like that, where there's not even like a split in the round, you literally have polar opposite judges. I'm going to sit here and freak the fuck out every time, because go watch that fight. And I'm not saying it because we had money on Dodson. I'm really not. At that point, money was lost because who lost earlier in the card? Oh, because Jake Collier lost. So we were expecting anything for the rest of the match from that second fight. So believe me when I say, when we were watching this, you and I were looking at each other going, Dodson, oh my God, look at the speed, look at the striking, look at the ability to get out of the way. Marlon couldn't take Dodson down, and if he did, what did he do with it? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. You know, I'm ate up at how we can go 3 rounds straight talking about how good somebody, and not to mention Dodson was poked in the eye and kicked in the fucking balls the same round.
Right.
And you still give the other dude the fight. This makes my hands sweat. This makes me nervous for the fucking sport as long as decisions like that are happening.
Hey, it just goes back to, I mean, it really does. Don't leave it in the judge's hands, because not only are you screwing yourself, but you're fucking us too. Period. And you know what? That fight right there, I showed you. That one fight alone lost me about $3,500. And I mean, that's how much in winnings I could have taken home had that fight not went that way. So I really did feel robbed. I thought it was complete bullshit. So, you know, not only did that same thing happen in the Jared Brooks fight just recently, You know, you go look at that fight, and I'm sorry, but it's the same situation, probably even more so. When I think back, how upset I was by the judges' calls on that fight, and again, lost me a ton of money. I mean, it's just stuff like that is really hard to swallow. It's hard to let go. I don't want to say it spoils, you know, the sport, but at the same time, what the fuck?
It certainly doesn't make it look good.
No, it doesn't, man, because it makes you feel, and it makes people like us feel really stupid. So. Anyways, well, all right, let's move ahead, man. The next fight was another one that I think just kind of shocked the world, or at least shocked a lot of people. It was Joe Lauzon versus Clay Guida.
Clay's got his magic back, and I won't doubt that anymore. I took Joe, and whoever fucking called Clay by knockout and elbows, fucking go you, because I would have never saw that coming.
No, you're right on the money there. I'm going back. I know I picked Clay, but
I think everybody picked Clay by decision.
I did. I had him by decision. So, yeah, I mean, Joe just got outworked, just bang, 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 and Clay just wasn't playing. I mean,
Joe really came out sleeping.
Well, Clay came out fired up too, man. I mean, we were looking at him. We laughed. Remember? We laughed like out loud in the first 5 seconds of the fight because he just came out like he used to come out 10 years ago. Yeah, just go, 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 go. And yeah, man, I wasn't shocked at all because as long as that guy comes to play, I knew that at least my decision, you know, by my choice by decision stood a chance. So yeah, good on you. Way to go, Clay. Way to prove all the haters wrong, man, because I bet he took some serious shit on that one, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the next fight, what do we have? Oh, this one was tough, man. This was the Rafael Assunção versus Mathews Lopez. And I just want to say right now, I should have went back and changed. After I listened to everybody, this is one of those, and this just tells you, I don't know everything, and I'm not ever claiming to say that I'm a Mr. Know-It-All. I'm just telling you what I think. I can only tell you what I feel. I have a lot of knowledge. Sometimes it comes together. Sometimes it doesn't. I think Mathews Lopez had every opportunity to do something in this fight. He just failed to do it, and Rafael just came out and did his thing, man. Had his way with Mathews for the most part, wouldn't you say?
Yep, I think the most important thing about post-fight analysis is what you walk away with or without, and that goes with your wallets as well. And what I learned from this is Mathews can have all the wrestling grind and heart that he wants. That shit doesn't mean a goddamn thing if you don't have fight IQ.
Yeah.
And Assunção's fight IQ kept him in rhythm, kept him in pace, and kept him locked in, ready to knock out Matt at any moment. And that was just from the jump. So what I take away from this is, you know, there was an age difference in this fight. There was an intensity difference in this fight. But those things don't mean anything if somebody has an IQ that is way higher than yours. And watch the fight. Assunção's IQ and his ability to adapt, change, and overcome Matt's game plan was fucking crazy. I mean, what a crafty, sporty, relevant veteran of the sport, and you gotta tip your hat off to the guy because he could have fucked Mathews' face and nose all apart, but he stopped on the first punch right on his nose, like stopped right before his nose like that. So.
I mean, like an inch. We went back and we backed it up and watched it, and mad respect. I mean, that's all I can say. I know we both just kind of stared at each other when it happened and play that back. And just, I mean, he didn't hit him. Like, he knocked him out. And when he came down, he could have landed 3 hammer fists straight to an unconscious opponent before the ref could have stopped it. And he didn't. He immediately knew that that lights out. And I mean, what you said is so true. And if you didn't see it, go watch it. Because, man, if you just want to see some incredible sportsmanship, that's worth it. I'll always remember that, man, of just how classy of a fighter he is. When you see it, it'll just blow your mind. I mean, you talk about self-control. That guy stopped an inch from bashing that guy's face in. And he could have done it, dude. And he could have gotten away with it, too, because the ref had not stopped it.
It's true. It's true. The other important thing to walk away with this fight is I have to put it in my little check box that Matt is a low-key dumbass. With all that skill, with all that hype, with all that aggression, he's a low-key dumbass. He said in a fight interview going into this fight that he doesn't study film, and so he has no idea what a Sun Tzu's game plan or what his strengths are. He fights a game depending on his strengths, and you look like a fucking idiot after that loss now. So I hope you take that shit and realize that film study is everything in this sport.
Yeah.
Learning timing, learning tendency, learning capability, that all plays a huge toll on the outcome of your fight. And you can tell Sun Tzu studied Lopez like the back of his fucking hand. So, yeah, you're a dumbass, Matt. Thanks for the loss.
Well, I'll tell you what, Matt, I keep catching you. I mean, not that you're out there listening to me, but I keep catching Matt doing fight predictions. And for a guy that doesn't watch fight tape, it's just no wonder how many calls you make wrong. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, he's not a good, he doesn't make good predictions at all. And if you think I'm wrong, then prove it. So that brings us to Nate Marquardt versus Cesar Ferreira.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Ferreira looking like the old guy, the Cesar you wanted to fucking root for back in the day when he was fighting Anthony Smith and Bang Bosa and Jack Hermanson. Looking good, man.
However, I will say, man, I mean, Nate took him all 3 rounds. I was worried because that one, when it went to decision, it made me immediately think of what happened with Dodson. And so I was like, oh, God, you know, Cesar definitely won this, right? And I looked at you and I was like, we're not going to get robbed again, are we? And and he won by split decision. So, you know, anything's possible, man. Well, this again just shows, dude, you leave it to those judges, man, and you are taking it. You might as well just be throwing it to the wind. Because I couldn't have guaranteed that one after what I saw with Dodson.
What did you take away from that fight?
How do you mean?
Like, what did you take away? What did you learn from those two guys, maybe that you didn't know, like, prior to the fight?
Nothing comes to mind. Why? Something stand out to you?
Something that stood out to me is, like, both of the guys somehow were taking each other's shots. Did you notice that?
Well, that's Nate's style, though, isn't it? He trades. That's the only thing he knows.
It was just
trades.
Weird, though.
But to see Cesar do it, I guess that's kind of the odd thing, because he's not usually one to just stand and exchange.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that I'm bringing this point up is I think and the way my brain was faceted for this fight was miles. Like, both of these guys got miles. They've got glass chins, and oh shit, the first person that clips the other one is going down. And there was numerous times where these guys clipped each other, and they didn't even stumble.
Yeah. Well, and they were big blows on both sides.
Right. So I thought that was cool. Like, the whole, I don't know if I believe the whole mileage thing about both of those guys anymore. I mean, granted, they're not the best, but it's important to note for C+, B- fighters in the future, these guys can like come out and take a shot and give one. So.
Hey man, there's old dudes proving everybody wrong every day, and I think the perfect and best example is Hendo. You know, Dan Henderson just time and time again just shocks the world. You know, you're just like, how in the hell does that guy still do this?
Yeah, it's crazy what a right hand can do, huh?
Yeah, the big H-bomb. Okay, well, moving ahead, man. Junior Albini.
It's a great segue for our next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about heavy hands. We got Junior Albini, Big Baby Beanie versus Andrei Arlovsky. I think everybody, I went out and looked because I just wanted to find out if I could find anybody that put their money on Arlovsky. I could not. Everybody unanimously picked Albini. everybody had Arlovski ruled out. My God, that guy had lost his last, what did we say, 4 or 5 fights prior to this?
I can tell you one sec. He lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in a row.
Yeah, like he shouldn't. I mean, seriously, dude, go show me another UFC fighter that's lost 5 and is still in the UFC. So they're giving this guy mad respect by not dropping him down to Bellator already. And he comes out and, you know, I'm not going to say it was Arlovski of yore. That wasn't really what I saw. What I saw was a will to win again. And he was willing to just go out there and bang and turn it on when he needed to. He jumped right on Albini when he felt like he had, you know, when he had the advantage. Albini, it was kind of just a back and forth, really, but in every way, Arlovski just stole this fight. I mean, every round, in my opinion, was his. He did win that by unanimous decision. And, yeah, man, Albini just, like, I don't think anybody saw that coming, but boy, he came out there and really showed that he's not there yet. He didn't look like he usually does. Looked a little bit timid, like he was kind of in over his head. I don't know, man. I was completely shocked. I had Albini winning just like everybody else did, and once again, we were completely blown away.
Yeah, Albini completely shit his diaper. That night.
Speaking of, what is he wearing, dude?
I don't know what was going on. I've never seen anything like it. But to come out and look like that and then lose like that against somebody like that, I was just, my mouth was like left open by the middle of the second round. I was like, this fat ass has no technicality. Like, his number one objective, I thought he did. I thought the boxing like would somehow project some type of TKO, but I mean, goddamn, like it was the same game plan. Let me just fucking take shots to my face while trying to throw 2 punches at you, a left hook and a right hook, and you don't beat veterans like that. You IQ veterans, no. And then you force your shots, but you don't just come out fucking every round and just, I mean, like, I'm sorry, Albini, you look fucking terrible, man. I just got to be honest. He looked terrible.
Yeah. And then some
really
people, and some, I guess some people made a killing on it, you know?
Yeah, right.
If you pulled Arlovski into that, you know, I bet you made some money. But yeah, whatever, man. We'll see what happens. We'll see what Arlovski does on his next one. That'll kind of give us a little bit more of a temperature gauge on where he's at right now. So yeah, the co-main event was Matt Brown and Diego Sanchez. This one, again, I think everybody was kind of shocked. Everybody's mouth just kind of dropped open at how fast this one ended. Matt Brown pretty much just rushed out and said, "Dink, you're done." Landed a vicious, what was that, an elbow?
Yeah, it was elbows, but I think what everybody's forgetting is Matt Brown almost got dropped.
Oh, yeah. His knees wobbled. But bottom line, that was a devastating knockout. I mean, Diego Sanchez crumbled on himself. It was scary. Like, literally, I remember I kind of gasped. It was like, oh my God, you know, is that,
and it happened
alive?
So fucking quick too.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But Matt Brown, man, he did exactly what he said. He said, "I'm going to come out there and I'm going to do what I always do." He said, "And I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at him, and it's going to be a great fight." And, you know, he didn't really seem shocked that he did it either, you know?
No. I think I don't know. This fight was just so cool because if you go back and listen to our fight predictions, I had said one of the things that never makes me feel comfortable betting about Matt Brown is he's soft in the middle. He's had lots and lots of organ failure problems and shit going on in his stomach. So if you hit him there, it literally... his central nervous system tells him to sit, and he does. His legs go out from underneath him, and Diego hit that one time with a kick, and Matt fucking curled down, and I guess Diego, I don't know why he didn't jump on it, or maybe I think he went for the takedown and got stuffed. But right after that moment, Matt kicked it in and realized, I don't want to go rounds with this shit and take body kick after body kick. Let's see what we can do. And then to bring out that fucking elbow like that, oh yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing stop to that fight, boy, I'll tell you. And the crowd went crazy.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. That's what you live to see those. If you watch this sport religiously, you live to see the Muay Thai elbow to the back of the head or the temple. Like, it's just devastating if you can manage to time it.
And, Brown was talking retirement prior to that fight. And, of course, coming in and doing something like that, he's already saying, I don't know, maybe I'm not done. Maybe I still got a little something in me. He says fighting's my life. This is what he loves to do. So, we'll see. We finished the night with Dustin Poirier in the main event. Dustin Poirier, Anthony Pettis. And I think this one here went down exactly the way I saw it. I got a perfect call on this one. I picked KO, TKO, round 3. And I got it.
It was submission. I got submission body triangle round 3. But remember, we were having quarrels around how to call this.
Well, that's weird, man. They gave me, I'm looking at the points on UFC here, and they gave me the points for it. I guess the KO, TKO, the TKO, no, that couldn't be.
Yeah, because it's saying method of victory, submission, body triangle. This is what had me all fucked up last week is he cracked the rib from the body triangle, but he tapped.
Well, dude, check this out. If you look right now, the win shows on UFC Pick'em, Poirier defeats Pettis by knockout at 2:08 of round 3. So I guess that's why they gave it to me, but that's what I've got. And I show you're right. I mean, I show by submission. When I look at the outcome, it shows outcome fight of the night, Poirier by 3rd round submission. So
yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea, but whatever. I'll take the points. I'll take the points. Yeah, no, but seriously, TKO, submission, whatever. I mean, that's exactly the way I saw it going. And, I didn't think it was going to be such a bloody beatdown between the two. Another analyst that I listened to said just that this was going to be a bloody brawl. But you know what? I did not see Pettis tapping like that. I just didn't see it happen going down. So the rib injury, whatever, he said he broke a rib or something to that effect. Unfortunate, but at the same time, he was getting the shit kicked out of him. So I don't really care how he tapped or why he was getting beat up. Poirier had that fight.
I disagree. I think that had gone 2 more rounds. Poirier was gassing, and don't get me wrong, Pettis was definitely beat up, fucking cracked all around his nose. But right before that body triangle happened, we forget that Poirier was put in a triangle and almost tapped. So I don't think that Poirier dominated. I think he looked good. But at the same time, man, that fight gone another 2 rounds and the rib crack didn't happen. First of all, what fascinated me with this fight is if you go count the amount of reversals from both parties, it's ridiculous. Like, these guys couldn't handle each other and keep them in one spot for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Without, I mean, we're talking like escapes from full mouth.
Guillotines and
deep guillotines, rear naked attempts.
Yep.
I even saw Poirier go for a couple Darce attempts to stink those.
Yeah, no, they were too slippery, and all the blood was making it difficult to hold on either way. But they would literally slip out of one submission, and the other one would put the other in a submission, slip out of that submission, and it just exchanged back and forth. But I still say I think that Poirier got better of the exchange. I really do, but. That's just one to be argued. It doesn't really matter. Poirier.
No, I think you're right. I think Poirier got the better of the exchanges, but it doesn't, to me, in my mind, it doesn't surpass the fact that he got put into a super deep triangle. And I'm still in awe how you got out of an Anthony Pettis triangle. And it's probably because of the blood and you got lucky. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Pettis is putting a lot of sketchy shit too, but nothing to the point where it was like, oh my God, that's in, the triangle's locked, the legs over the heel. How Poirier got out of that is beyond me. Yeah. But it's pretty cool. We had a guy, I think his name was Mr. Wolfrick, and he even said on our comments, he said, "Told you, bro, great fight though. For sure thought Pettis was going to get in with the triangle." And that's what I thought. I thought, okay, there's the creative, crafty veteran that just snuck the brawler. So. But yeah, man, that fight was super cool. I hated having to watch it in like that. I would have rather it go the full 5, or somebody go to sleep, or somebody get TKO'd,
Right.
or like, just so there's not that looming. Because I have the looming question over my head already: is if that fight happened again, would the same fight occur, or what happens when you don't break a rib in round 3? Because my big thing was, what was Dustin going to look like in the 4th and 5th round? And according to film study, he looks like shit in the 4th and 5th round. Mm-hmm. So it makes you wonder, man, had the rib crack not occurred, what would have happened? So I don't know. I think shit like this is cool for certain reasons, and I think it's bad for certain reasons. But it's certainly, I could see these two fighting in the near future.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely worthy of a redo. I wouldn't mind seeing that again.
I would love to see a rematch between those two.
You bet. Well, it was a good wrap up. It was a good night. Again, I wound up 9-13. Still feel I should have been 11-13, but hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way the ball bounces. We cannot win them all. I do want to give a shout out though, man, since we're talking about winnings. As I went and listened to other analysts, God, why can't I say that word right? As I listen to other analysts out there, I want to give a huge shout out to 2 that stood out. One is the MMA Breakdown. Guy went 10 for 13, dude. Amazing job. The other guy I've been listening to for a while now, MMA Predictions Guru. He went 10 for 13 as well. And, man, both of those guys were on point. If you go and listen to their predictions, man, they really did an excellent job of breaking the fights down. And, yeah, man, if you're out there listening, good job. And if you're not listening and you haven't listened to them, we're definitely worthy of a view. So, yeah, good job, guys. It was awesome. Hey, another thing I want to talk about was, Marlon Moraes at the end of that fight, he called out TJ Dillashaw. And I was just shocked by that. Somebody should have just taken the mic from him. It's like, who the hell are you, dude? Seriously. You beat John Dodson by split decision, and now you're going to call out TJ Dillashaw?
He didn't even win that fight. He thought he lost it. Remember when they went to raise the hands? He's looking off in the crowd like, "Oh, I got my ass beat," and then he gets his hand raised and acts like that.
But that's what I'm saying. Is somebody should have just put him in his place, or would have been great if Joe Rogan just grabbed the mic from him and went, "What are you smoking? Did you get hit too hard? Because you're just talking out your ass right now. You're nowhere near TJ's level, so stop talking like that." That's what he deserved. So we've had some big news in the UFC. Bisping has been chosen, or he has stepped up actually to replace Anderson Silva for the main event at UFC Fight Night 122 in Shanghai, China, versus Kelvin Gastelum. That'll be Saturday, November 25th. That will be the next fight that we break down for you and give you our pre-fight predictions. We'll do that probably next week sometime, I assume. Another thing that happened was UFC 218, Holloway versus Edgar. Edgar has hurt himself, something to do with his orbital bone, and he's been replaced by Jose Aldo. That'll be coming up on Saturday, December 2nd.
I can't wait for that shit.
That's going to be a good one. I'm enjoying the shit out of Holloway now, and I was anxious to see Edgar and him go, though, because Edgar's really, we've been on his, back on his train lately, because he's really, really fired up. I'm sorry to see that he got hurt, man, because you know how it is, dude. He may have missed that chance. He may have missed his opportunity to get that title shot. We'll see, dude. But worse things have happened. Yeah, man, one thing I wanted to talk to, just make note, again, it's happened in this last fight, is fighters continue to miss weight. Giving up their purses. Fights having to be agreed to go to catch weight. I think something's got to happen here. It's just happening on a regular basis. I don't want to say it's not fighters taking it seriously, but at the same time, what else is there, man? Something's not right. That's all I got to say. And maybe the penalties need to be a little bit stiffer. Maybe you give them a warning, and if it happens again, you get a suspension, you know, for a certain amount of time, or you're forced to move up a weight class if it happens more than once or twice. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I don't have the exact thoughts or ideas on how to fix it, but I can certainly say that for the past 6 weeks, it's getting redundant. Like, I can expect 2 to 3 fights now to change. I can expect on the fight day, so we build our whole week expecting a fight time to start and build a time to watch it around with the family and shit. And then you wake up on the morning of and 2 fighters are off. So that's moved all of your plans an hour out, and then you have to fill that hour of your day with whatever the fuck we're going to do. And it's just becoming repetitive to the point where it's noticeable. It's not like, okay, it happened 2 weeks ago or it happened last month. It's happening every fucking week.
Yeah.
Like, I can't give you one card in the last 3 months that I can remember where somebody hasn't dropped or doped or hasn't cut weight right. It's getting to be too much.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to touch on that. I did have a thought the other day, and I shared it with somebody on somebody's page, but I haven't shared it with you yet or our listeners. And that is, would it not be absolutely cool if we could just like have like a fantasy night, like an old school tourney, even if we have to do it overseas because of the rules and the regulations, and just do something maybe once a year to commemorate the original UFC. You know, see who the today's Gracie is, who's Ken Shamrock. You know, see just something to kind of bring us back to where it all started. You know,
that's cool.
For me, I miss those days of the tournament style to where you could actually walk away going, man, not only did he win, but he fought 3 or 4 guys in the same night to do it. There was just something to be said about those fights, and it was an amazing time. And somebody had just made the comment, you know, what if so and such? I don't remember. What if so and such champion were back in those days? You know, where would they fit in? And I got to thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we could just relive that with the fighters of today? You know, and you could do probably just a voluntary sign up. You know, just see and then pick the best fighters. You know, have Sean Shelby step in and match up the best fights and put a preliminary and then do a quarterfinal and so on. And I just think it would be amazing. I miss those days. And when I went back and I watched an old one, I think it was UFC 3. And it just, man, I was just so taken back of that feeling of just awe, you know, not just from a big knockout from a fight, but where you were just left in awe that a smaller guy, you know, completely defeats a guy 3 times his size, or a guy that has no skill whatsoever. I think of Tank Abbott. You know, all he has is 2 hands and the ability to throw a punch. And he managed to knock guys that were skilled, you know, across the board in karate, kung fu. You know, they tried them all back then. And, you know, it was just amazing to see that stuff, and I miss it. So maybe I'm just reminiscing of days of old, but, you know, that's where I started with UFC. I was one of those guys that literally we were in high school back then, and, you know, we would get together at my buddy's house, and his dad always got the fights, and, you know, we'd all wind up over there watching those. And back then you'd see one maybe one a year, you know, that's if you were lucky. And we've really come a long way considering now we watch one every week. So biggest, fastest, best sport, fastest growing MMA right here. I mean, you're getting it. And if you're involved in it already, then you're one step up on somebody, because people are just clamoring to this sport. It's just way too exciting for people not to. We turn people onto this sport, not through this, but literally just in neighborhood, through our friends, through just daily conversation. We're always talking UFC. And I hope our passion and our excitement and our overwhelming feeling of just pure bliss that this sport brings us kind of shows in what we're doing, because it's contagious. And if anything, we want to share that contagiousness with other people. So I guess that just backs up. You have anything else you want to add?
No. I liked your question. Who's the favorite relevant fighters? I'm anxious to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I put that when I put it forward to you. I was going to ask you, tell me who is your favorite. If you give me 3 of your favorite current fighters.
I'll give you 3, but it's a tie for 3.
Okay.
Number 1, obviously Nate Diaz.
Okay. I know why.
And you know why?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Number 2, I have to put my wrestler in undefeated career, and I share a birthday with this guy, Daniel Cormier.
Okay.
And then number 3, it's definitely I took 2 of the most top-notch strikers I can think of, one with hands, one with feet, and you know who one is, right? Can you guess it?
No, I have no idea, man. You've tossed me with the first 2, so.
Wonder Boy and Darren Till.
Okay, all right. Well, mine, you know me, man. I'm McGregor till I die. I'm 50% Irish and 50% English, and that other 50% English goes to Darren Till. I am absolutely thrilled to be representing both of those guys. That's my blood. You see it back there. I am a huge McGregor fan. I'm a huge Till fan, so that's my number 1. My number 2, my number 3 current favorite fighter, the one that gets me the most excited, the one that has relit a passion for heavyweight fighting for me, is Stipe Miocic. I just think he just, man, there's something about that guy, dude. Till I die. Right. So yeah. Anyways, but that was cool, man. Let us know. Tell us who your picks are. Put it out there. Drop it in our comment section. Let us know who your favorite 3 relevant fighters.
Who's your top 3 relevant, currently fighting fighters?
You bet. All right, man. Well, listen, we were planning on running short, and we've run just about what we usually do. So to close, we want to thank you guys for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter at SDP_MMA, also on Facebook, Instagram as well. We're out there. To make the big bucks, you need the most useful, up-to-date MMA analysis and predictions. We all need different, perspectives on the upcoming fights from knowledgeable and proven winners. This is what we're giving you. This is what we attempt to deliver each week to our followers and our fellow fight lovers. Tune in before every UFC fight for our predictions and analysis. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to us. And if it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe, give us a like, become a part of our MMA family. Until next time, as always, be healthy, live to fight another day, guys. Till next week, we'll see you then.
Salute.